Alright guys, welcome back to another playoff edition here at Talk is Cheap. My name is Giovanni Mentor, and we have Mr. Kyle Schillenfloor with us and Mr. Ludolf McLaughlin. And guys, what an exciting playoff season this has been so far. We've seen teams make it to unexpected leads. We've seen teams make unexpected ties, but overall, now we're getting to the breaking point. The breaking point that will determine what teams make it out of the first round or what team bottoms it out. So the first team we're going to talk about is the Spurs and the Mavericks. Now, Dallas once again has proven themselves to be the clutch factor. Vince Carter pulling that miracle three with 1.6 seconds left on the clock. I think that has proven a statement for where they're about to head in this playoff.
And I don't want to call myself Houdini, seeing that I called this series going to Dallas, but it's a good thing to see Dallas finally show who they are in the West, being the 8th seed going against the #1 Spurs. Right. But I feel the Dallas Mavericks have the best role players. Seeing they have Marion, they also got Vince Carter, vintage. He was vintage with that buzzer beater in the corner. So it's without a doubt that Dallas will take this series in 6, 4-2. Dallas going forward.
Okay, well, I still don't think that this series is over. The Spurs, they have to make adjustments, and they have the best personnel and the best coach to make that decision, make those transitions to better make the team. So I feel as if the Spurs, they're kind of overmatched because they're older. This is a very young Mavericks team with that backcourt. It's just overpowering the Spurs. They can't match up with the speed and quickness. But I do think they will make adjustments, and they're still gonna pull it out.
I think I could agree with Ludolf because I mean when you're looking at the big three for the Spurs, Tim Duncan, Parker, Ginobili, the first 2 games they averaged 57 points together. You know, between them, and in game 3, 53 points, 21 for 46 for shooting. I mean, they're proving that they can hit those tough shots.
They can, but you gotta understand, the key factor to the series will be Monte Ellis. Monte Ellis in game number 2 in that blowout on the road, I gotta commend him. 113-92 against the Spurs. He had 21 points. And then the last game he had 29 points. Phenomenal. 4 of 7 from the 3.
That's good and all, but I think the best player on the court is still Tony Parker, and he's still not playing his best.
Of course.
So Parker will step up.
Okay, he's the best player on the court coming into the series. That's what you mean, because right now Monte Ellis and that backcourt is Monte and Jose.
I said he will step up.
But guess what? On Monday, we will see Dallas stick it out at home again and take a 3-1 lead, and then win it in Dallas in game 6. Brave. Look what they've been doing. They are outplaying the Spurs. They are. For now.
Well, I mean, for right now, I mean, look what the Spurs did in the last game. I mean, after holding a 9-point lead with 3 minutes remaining in the first half, the Spurs allowed Mavericks to go for a 28-14 run. I mean, that gave them a 5-point lead at the break and momentum built. I mean, if they want to stay ahead of the game, they got to learn how to shut down the Mavericks by the halftime, by half. So
that's going to be the
I don't know about that,
thing in the playoffs. So I got Dallas in 6. I know Skip Bayless, that's his Spurs. But after that buzzer beater, he was on Twitter, I believe, knows all caps down the timeline, disappointed. But hey, Monte Ellis, Vince Carter, Dirk Nowitzki, we haven't even talked about Dirk. If he gets going, it's going to be over for the Spurs.
Alright, so moving along, we're talking about Thunder versus Grizzlies. And OKC pulled even with an overtime win against the Grizzlies. And game 5 now is going to be in OKC. Now, OKC is finally getting back in the driver's seat. I do not see Westbrook and Durant letting what happened, with their bad performance happen again. I mean, Durant and Westbrook combined for 11 for 45, 24% from the field. I mean, that's just
struggle,
pitiful. And these are stars.
And that's because Memphis has one of the best defense in the West and in the league. And you got to understand, Tony Allen on Kevin Durant, he's been a pest all series. But I got to acknowledge that this is probably the best grudge match because 3 of the 4 games have gone to overtime. Memphis won the first overtime, 111-105. Then he won the second one, 98-95, and I guess OKC thought, hey, it was my turn. It was our turn.
Give it a go.
So let's, but kudos to Reggie Jackson, who had a 32-point game, personal career playoff best, and he actually saved OKC.
Oh, yeah, 11 for 16 from the field.
And one thing Memphis went wrong with is they let that game go to overtime. They had it sealed. They was up by 5 with about a couple minutes left, and they let it go. And Reggie Jackson took over, and KD and Westbrook said, "Hey, you're on fire. Stay on fire."
Yeah, I also agree that the Grizzlies had a big chance right there to take a commanding 3-1 lead. As this series has shown that the Thunder, they're not as great as everyone thinks they are. The Grizzlies, they're putting defense on them. KD is slowing down. And it looks like the Thunder are not as strong as everyone has believed them to be. But I think the Thunder will pull it out. They're probably going to win the next two, close out the series, and move on to the next round. But the Thunder show they have weaknesses. They do need that third scorer. Reggie Jackson needs to step up a little more, become more consistent. But the Grizzlies and the Thunder, this is a better series than most people expected.
Yeah.
I mean, with my focus, I'm looking at, the Thunder, yes, they have great shooters. Westbrook, Durant. But, Westbrook, I feel like is a dangerous factor. Because, I'm still stuck on that horrible performance. 6 for 24 from the field?
Yes.
6 for 24.
That is
what jeopardized.
And that's the problem right there. And what OKC has to realize is that Westbrook will need to take less shots. If OKC wants to win a title, and he has to be a point guard instead of a shooting guard in a point guard position. So if he can do that and limit his attempts and have KD be a free shooter, then OKC could, take control of the playoffs. But right now, Memphis is giving them everything. And I apologize for calling a sweep,
Which was way off.
I was way off. I counted the Grizzlies out, but good matchup, and this is probably the best playoffs I've ever witnessed. Seeing that all the series are close, but KD, Westbrook, they need to try to come to some agreement where, hey, I'm the leader of this team. We're gonna win a ring, but you're gonna be a factor as well. But you gotta understand that I'm the head honcho here. So.
I think they have come to that agreement. The thing is, they don't have that third wing. Westbrook, he's taking better shots than he was. They've improved. KD is still he's the second best player on the team. He gets some shots.
But not more than
Dwayne, he doesn't get more shots than KD.
He had more shots.
That's
he had more
game.
attempts.
That's one game.
No, but it's shown.
No, it hasn't. Most of the games, KD takes most of the shots this year. KD has taken all of the shots. That's why his
because he's been injured most of the time. So
he only missed games at the beginning of the season, but as the season went on, you see that
he
KD has taken over.
During the All-Star break. The All-Star break span.
That was a few games though.
That's like about 2 to 4
but
weeks.
still, overall, I think Westbrook
Westbrook
needs to realize what position he has. Yes, he's a great player, but he is not the star. He's not the number one MVP on the team. He needs to respect his boundaries.
He's already
set aside and be that
done
assist factor.
He's already
not
done
the
playmaker. Be a playmaker.
He can't do that. Listen, it just proved last year when he went out, they would look like a horrible team. They couldn't even score with last year's Memphis team.
Because if KD goes out as well, they're gonna look bad.
No, they need him to score.
Well, overall, I wish we still had give you some because Durant, Westbrook, y'all would have had to give me some. Alright, so now guys, we're going to be talking about the Clippers versus the Warriors game. Golden State's found another way to even it out with the Clippers and coming out with the win. But from the other side, we see that Coach Mark Jackson saw a different kind of success with Draymond Green in placing him to defend Blake Griffin in Game 3, which kind of held him off for 3-8 in the field when he originally started 12 for 17 from the start. That's a big reduction, and he's put the lineup accordingly to kind of hold Blake Griffin down. So I think if this continues, then they might see a good outcome in the way this turns out, specifically holding down Blake Griffin from scoring.
And I did like the new strategy from Mark Jackson, putting Draymond Green on Blake Griffin. He was limited to 21 points. That doesn't seem like that much, but Blake Griffin had a 35-point game in the blowout, the 40-point blowout against the Warriors in game number 2. So to see that Blake Griffin scored 21 points with Draymond Green on him. That should be a new strategy going forward, because right now Golden State has tied the series 2-2 after losing the last two. You know, one at home and then one in LA. So that's a new strategy, and I hope Miles Jackson continues.
I think it is obvious that strategy does need to continue. Draymond Green is more athletic than David Lee in guarding Blake. And Blake, he's all about athleticism. He uses athleticism to overpower you and anybody that he comes across. So that's a change that's going to be good there. Also, I feel like this is one of the better series. That it turns out to be one of the better series. Everybody expected the Clippers or the Warriors to take it. Now you can't really tell who's going to really take it. I feel that the Warriors are still going to take it, but they just have to keep up some form of defense. If they can just play a little bit better defense than the Clippers, I think the Warriors can take it.
And when you talk about defense, that's hard to predict from the Warriors, seeing that only Iguodala plays defense on the team. David Lee is out the picture. Klay Thompson is out the picture. Curry is out the picture, seeing that they can't handle the Clippers. And I feel Game 4 was a distraction. And that was because the investigation about the Clippers owner, so I forgot his name, but you know, that was a distraction.
Not even
we don't want to remember
Sterling.
David Sterling.
Sterling. And that was a distraction. I feel that Game 4 was kind of out the picture for the Clippers. You know, they had no mental focus. They had nothing going on, and that's just, you know, lost by 21 at home. At home, I believe. You know, in Golden State. Yeah. So I see them bouncing back, but it's gonna be tough. Going back to LA.
I mean, that is tough. I mean, you're looking at you're the owner of an NBA franchise. I mean,
a league that's full of many black players.
African American players.
Even his own team, the own team, they're wearing their jerseys backwards. They're throwing their jerseys. They're hiding the logo.
And even making a comment towards Magic
his
Johnson.
His own wife. He's telling his own wife.
Well, not his wife. It was his girlfriend.
His girlfriend. You're right.
And she's black and Mexican too, so he must really be confused.
Well, I heard the audio on tape, and I was shocked. I was appalled. But I feel the Clippers need to, you know, block it out and continue to play basketball, because that performance was very poor and it reflected off what happened. So if they want to go forward, I don't think they should attack the issue right now. Let the NBA handle that and have them play ball, because they're gonna need to get out this series with the Warriors, because the Warriors are striking back.
I thought this was, when he said that, it was the last thing I thought that was gonna happen during this playoffs. It was crazy, but. Hopefully we move on from this and see what it is.
All right, well, let's hope we move out from that, like Rudolph said, and let's see the Clippers keep it up and hopefully move forward. All right, guys, so we're moving into the next series game. We're talking about the Rockets versus the Blazers. Now, we've seen some great performance. LaMarcus Aldridge has gotten back that MVP crown. We can hear it from the fans. He is back. So he deserves it. And we're also seeing Damian Lillard really going in. This series, I mean, he's proven to be one of the best rookies thus far. With 30 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists in the playoff. The first Blazer to do this since Terry Porter since 1992. So he's knocking down barriers. He's knocking them down. But from the Rockets side, we see that Patrick Beverley is hurt. He's injured. I mean, we don't know how long. It might be one game. It's not that big of an injury, but I mean, 1-2 games can affect the Rockets tremendously. So
it will probably. But you got to look at the Houston will need Patrick Beverley as much as they need James Harden, to me, especially on the defensive end, because he's one of the best defenders for the Rockets, and he will need to be available to limit Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is going off, and he had a 30-point game in game number 3, which Portland lost. But if he's not available, then Jeremy Lin will need to step it up a lot, along with Kanan, who they picked up from the D-League. So they need him 100%.
My thing about this series is the surprise from the last game. Troy Daniels come just up out the D-League, hasn't played a game, made the game-winning 3. Well, not the game-winning, but the 3 to put them, go-ahead 3 that pushed the Blazers out of that game. But my thing is, this is the best series going on. It's a back and forth battle. I said it was one of the best series earlier. This one is definitely the best series going on, as 2 out of the first 3 games have gone into overtime. It's a back and forth battle. It's high paced. There's a lot of star players. You're seeing Lillard take another step in his career to become an even better player. You're seeing the Rockets make adjustments on Aldridge. Now they're playing 2 bigs to put more pressure because what was number 6 name? Terrence Jones was too small to guard LaMarcus Aldridge. That was a good adjustment. It slowed down Aldridge after the 3rd game and moving on toward the next game. So they're making adjustments on both sides.
I think that was
the best.
That was a very good move, putting Osika in with Dwight Howard to pair off and
put some size
defense on Aldridge.
And speaking of Dwight Howard, game number 2 was a breakout where he had the first, I think, the first 12 points for the Rockets. He started off hot and he continued into the 2nd quarter. But what happened was Portland adjusted. They double teamed. And Harden was a no-show once again. And I'm not a big fan of Harden. I'm not a big fan of Harden because I feel he flops a lot and he goes to the paint looking for a foul. And what they did in game number 2, which Portland won, was the refs, became more knowledgeable of what Harden was doing. And he was trying to get fouls. And good defense by Wesley Matthews, along with Batum. And once again, that small forward matchup between Batum and Parsons, exciting to see. I love it. Parsons breaks out, Batum breaks out. Batum had that 3 when Jeremy Lin missed the wide open layup on the other end, that was embarrassing. Which he was supposed to hold up for his team because they should have been running a play, to put them ahead. But Jeremy Lin, not knowing, inexperienced, went off to take a layup that he could have made that have been big. That was one of those plays where you say, no, and then be like, okay, since you made it, you're cool. But he missed it. But LA also, LaMarcus Aldridge, phenomenal. The first 2 games, 40 plus. The Rockets did a good thing. It's a good job as well, adjusting to his play. So it's going to be a good series going forward. Seeing that we got probably about 4 more games to go. Hopefully it goes game 7. I want to see a game 7.
I think it's going to say.
But I feel Portland's going to win in 6, so we're going to end it in Portland.
Oh, okay. Well, Kyle, that's some pretty mighty, brave predictions.
I'm Houdini.
Houdini? All right. Well, we'll see if Houdini has the right pick here. We'll see what happens at game. All right, guys. So now we're moving over to a different area. We're going towards the East now, and we're talking about the series with the Pacers and the Hawks. Now, the top seed Pacers, they use the Hawks' favorite setup, which is multiple threes, fast breaks to beat the number 8 Hawks to win the game and tie it up. And now they've retaken that home court advantage, and I guess Pacer fans could start. I'm not saying breathing completely, but y'all could loosen the shoulders, loosen the ties, because there's still hope. So, what do you think about that? Let me actually start with Rudolph first. I want to see what Rudolph got from.
This is a bit of a surprise, as in the Pacers. We knew they were falling apart, but it's really bad. I mean, the Hawks are not a good team. The Pacers are the number 1 seed. I did expect the Hawks to take 1, but not 2. I didn't expect the Pacers to be behind 1 to 2. And now it's a best of 3 series going into Game 5, and the Pacers need to take control of this series. Hibbert's a no-show. The coach is refusing to switch him out for somebody else. They're still putting all their faith into him as into guard, and really it's just Teague and Millsap and Kyle Korver. No one else is really a threat. And the Pacers are supposed to be one of the better. Still, the Pacers are supposed to be one of the better defensive teams. The defense is there, but that offense is horrendous. They're looking at as one of the worst offensive teams in the playoffs right now. So they have to do something. They can't do this going into the next round.
I could piggyback on that defense. I mean, looking at the last game, 11 blocks from the Pacers. 11 blocks coming from Hibbert, George, West, Lance Stevenson, Turner himself even getting blocks.
The defense is
the defense is nasty. But they got to tighten up on that offense.
I don't know why Rudolph was surprised that the Pacers are in this situation. You've seen it coming in. You have to see it coming in to the playoffs. And
I didn't know it was this bad.
Of course it's this bad, because why? They didn't come in with no chemistry, no camaraderie like you used to say. You know, they don't have no camaraderie, Rudolph. And the biggest problem is Hibbert. Hibbert is the biggest distraction on the Pacers. We all know that. And the first 2 games, he collected 0 blocks. On the defensive end, okay, if you're not doing good on the offensive end, we understand. You still have Paul George, you know, we still have Lance Stevenson and David West, but you got to be doing something on the defensive end. Come on. Come on. And what I think it is,
taking up space.
That whole situation with Hibbert about calling his players selfish, that sparked a lot. A lot. Because right now, when I see them on the court, they look outplayed, out-hustled, you know, no effort getting back on the defensive end. And guess what? Teague is balling. Jeff Teague is doing some numbers. Also, Paul Millsap. And
they're on the mission.
They got Lou Williams. So the point guard play is out the picture for the Pacers. George Hill is a non-factor.
He only showed up for the 4th quarter of the last game and helped them pull it out.
Thank God
that's his first show up.
Thank God for Evan Turner coming off the bench. So that would save them from going down 3-1. And they're lucky.
That would have been the end.
But guess what? I still have you know, I predicted the Hawks would win Game 7, you know, to use this series as you know, as momentum, you know, or to find himself. But right now, where the Hawks are playing, I see the Hawks winning in 6, stealing Game 5 in Indiana, because they're capable of doing it. Stealing Game 5 and then winning it at home. You never know.
My thing is,
the
Pacers cannot allow that to happen. They've fought for this all season. They've been talking trash, calling each other out. Hibbert is the biggest distraction, just to go off what you said, and they're playing good D. It's not like Atlanta scoring a lot of points. They just can't score. They got
Atlanta are scoring a lot of points. Come on.
They're scoring what, 100 barely, or 90 something. Most of the games are pretty 90.
Once they get it done, they get it done.
But big kudos to the Hawks. They're playing very well.
All right, guys. So this next series game, I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean, Heat, Bobcats. Talk about sticking a fork in them. I think that's sticking a shovel in them, because that's really deep. I mean, the Heat have won 19 consecutive games against the Bobcats and have not lost the series against them since 2010, since March 9, 2010. And it's proven that the Miami Heat have never lost a playoff leading 3-0 in the series. So, Bobcats, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I think this
body
one,
bags.
I think this one was obvious. We know the Heat was the better team. We know the experience. We know who's on the court. We know who's in the front office. We know who's coaching. We know they're going to come ready prepared. This is the Heat just making sure Dwayne Wade's back in the flow. This is just extra practices they're getting in. So they'll be ready for the next series. Everyone expects this to happen. There's no shock.
I mean, Bobcats at least got to get one in. I feel like they're going to get one in.
Now, hear me out.
At least one.
Hear me out. When I think about a team being down 3-0, I always go back to Dwayne Wade. Back, I believe in 2009, in the first round against Boston. Your Boston team. Where Boston led 3-0 and Wade had a 48-point game.
I don't know what
to give the Heat a win at home. So I feel right now, the one-legged horse, Al Jefferson, he's going to have a 40-plus game to go out in, to at least go out in fashion for his Bobcats and for Jordan. Not speaking of that stare down LeBron did, but going back to Al Jefferson, he's been playing fantastic. Even with one leg, he's hobbling from one end to the next. You know, getting treatment, you know, trying to, you know, at least find some type of groove. It's hard to find a groove when you're only playing on one leg, Gio. And he's had some good games, you know, 20-point games, but it's not good enough because his supporting cast is not doing nothing. Kemba Walker is not, you know, being the player he's supposed to be. You know, Joe Henderson is a non-factor as well. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. You know, the only thing the Bobcats are known for was that elbow from Josh McRoberts, you know, into LeBron's
he did another one.
You know, but I feel in Game 4, because I have Miami winning 5, and I still have them regardless of Al Jefferson, you know, being injured, and I feel Al Jefferson will have a 40-20 game in Game 4 against the Heat. Nope.
That's some crazy predictions.
No, it's not crazy. He's done it in the season, and he can done it again. He can do it against the Heat. And so trust me, Jefferson is gonna not back. He's not gonna back down against the Heat.
I expect him to put his best effort in. This is probably gonna be their last game, but despite whatever Jefferson pulls out, LeBron's going to counter it. That'll bounce that off, and then the Heat's taking the game no matter what. This is a pretty easy series. No worries for the Heat.
Okay, I think that
they're going to rest up, give Void need some more rest as
they
wait
for
the
Brooklyn.
rest of the game.
Well,
let's not get into that one just yet. So.
Well, I guess that's about it. Call the crime scene, get the body bags, get the caution tape, because
sending them home.
Are done. Finish. Alright guys, so this next series we're talking about Raptors and the Nets. Now, although the Nets did lose this one off, and now the series tied 2-2, but let's talk about leadership. Leadership from the Nets. We're talking about Pierce and Garnett combined for 7 of Brooklyn's last 9 points in the half. Then Paul Pierce opened it up the second with a 3-pointer, followed by a layup. And then we have Sean Livingston free throw, and then Garnett added another basket to make it 52-51, giving the Nets their first lead during that game. So when we're talking about leadership, I mean, I'm looking at the Nets. That could be their ticket move to getting out this first round compared to the Raptors.
And I'm surprised to see Toronto putting up a fight.
They're putting up a fight,
and they are. And what they're doing is they're attacking what Brooklyn is bringing, and they have just won Game 4 to even the series. So it's going to be a best of 3 series between them. But the biggest picture I see for Toronto going forward is DeMar DeRozan and Lowry. In game number 2, they averaged 44 points combined. In game number 3, they averaged 45. In the last game, number 4, they averaged 46. So you can see progress in between them and communication. They're playing along with each other, you know. So that's going to be the key factor for the Raptors. But now for the Nets, the key factor has to be Joe Johnson. If Joe Johnson don't get going, he had 7 points in game number 4, and that's the biggest concern for the Nets. But we saw him in game number 2. He had 18 points. That was fairly good.
That was fair.
But then he had 29. In game number 3, where they won 102-98, and most of those games been close. And if Joe Johnson gets going, trust me, the Nets are going to be cruising along. And it's going to be a game of turnovers. The less turnovers for either team is going to guarantee them a win.
Well, that has been the problem for Toronto, is finding someone to guard Joe Johnson. He's been the one that's been pushing them over. But going into the series, as we mentioned in the previous playoff show, Brooklyn has a big experience advantage. A tremendous amount of more games played playoff games played in Brooklyn than in Toronto. Toronto hasn't been in the playoffs for a while. So the only way that Toronto can really match up with them is to use their athleticism and try to out-athleticize the Brooklyn Nets. Because if they try to just play basketball, if they try to play basketball and try to make different decisions, they really don't have a chance. As in Darren Williams, one of the better point guards in the league, Joe Johnson, Paul Pierce, KG. You see KG, he's showing his that fierceness. He went down on the floor, grabbed the ball, threw it up, and they get a game a good layup. And you see him do that KG roar on the ground, which really got the Brooklyn going in game 3. So as long as Brooklyn just keeps doing what they're doing, I see they're taking the series.
Where they're gonna take it in?
I still got Brooklyn in 6.
In 6, so they don't win it in Toronto. Yeah. That's a tough place. That's a tough.
Yeah. Well, hey, with that, let's just hope that Brooklyn, you can athleticize the Raptors and make it out the first round. So we'll see. Good choice of words. Okay, fellas, so we're talking about the last series of the night. We're talking about Bulls versus Wizards. Now, despite without suspended forward Nene from the Wizards, we see that they still were able to triumph in Game 4, taking the series 3-1. But as well from the Bulls, I mean, they've tried. They really have. And we've seen Gibson going 8 for 8 in the first half, and made his first 9 attempts, finishing 13 for 16 from the field. So they're making that effort. I mean, the one bad call that I could say that kind of affected them was Carlos Boozer, picking up 5 fouls, all in the third quarter.
The 5th quarter.
5 fouls in the third quarter. 5. Like, you can't be doing that as a center. You're jeopardizing the team's defense by being taken out the third quarter.
I think that that was really ridiculous. But anyways, my thing is this series has kind of been more of a shock to me than I thought it would be. I did have the Wizards taking it, as in when playoff ball comes, sometimes when you have that best player on the court, it is more of an advantage than having a better team. And the Bulls don't have that person to turn to when everything goes wrong, where the Wizards do in John Wall. So that is the turn, and John Wall's playing good ball. He's been playing good basketball all year. So the Wizards are taking this series, and they might take it in 5.
And I know on the other end, I had the Bulls going out, winning the first round. But what happened is close games. Close games don't favor the Bulls, and like Rudolph said, they don't have that go-to scorer, as in John Wall for the Wizards. Also Bradley Beal. But the last game, no Nene, but here comes Ariza, 30 points. I think 6 threes.
6 for 9 on 3 points.
So the second game and the third game, I'm looking at this, and the second game was in OT, 101 to 99. Who's gonna close it out for the Bulls? They went to Heinrich. Come on, who goes to Heinrich? No offense.
They used to go to Heinrich, and he was nice.
Heinrich. Who goes to Heinrich? In game number 3, it was a close game, and they won. Why? Nene was out, and Jimmy Butler came big.
Momentum switch.
Yeah, and with Butler hitting that 3 with about 20-something seconds left, that kind of propelled the Bulls, because Wall can knock down some shots, but when it comes to threes, I don't really see Wall as a three-point shooter in my eyes. You would normally go to Bradley Beal, but the Bulls did play good defense with 20-something seconds left, and the Bulls are going to need to do that going forward if they want to come back and win it in Game 7. And they're going to have to knock down some clutch shots and play D at the other end. They're capable of playing D at the other end, but on the offensive end, that's where they need to improve on. So if it gets close again, I'm sorry, the Wizards are going out with the win. But
my thing is, Nene is now served his 1-game suspension, and he's going to be back for the next game, and that's a whole nother problem for them. And especially if Ariza stays hot, that game might be a blowout, and then we might be saying bye to Chicago early this year.
Early. Oof. Well, I mean, that's not the worst disappointment they've gotten. So, hey, I guess it just keeps getting worse for them. Well, guys, with us being midway through the series, I mean, it's either teams start looking towards their key players to step it up, for stars to start being stars, or we see, teams limit their mistakes. Either way, something has to happen for these teams to make it out in the first round. So, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to check us out on our Instagram, on our Twitter, on Facebook, and YouTube. Make sure to leave some comments, guys. Let us know what you think. Leave your comments.